why are the things that are actually the worst for us, why is that acceptable? Why is that what culture deems as appropriate, quote unquote? But it's like, well, of course that they would greenlight things that are going to kill you, because at the end of the day, if they're not making money, then what's the point? So if it doesn't make us sick or die, then they don't want it, because it's not what they want. That's, it's all about the money.
Which is like
follow the money.
This synthetic psilocybin shit is what we're talking about today.
All right, we're just getting started, right?
That's scary.
That is scary.
I'm going in. It is such fucking nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And it's like a bastardization of the entire plant medicine completely, from like the fact that you're synthesizing it and you can just fucking grow it. Like anybody can grow it in their goddamn backyard. It's not tricky at all. But we have to synthesize it, because why?
Because we have to monetize it.
Exactly, because you can't monetize what's natural.
Because you have to know, because you...
Right. You can't monetize it, people can just grow. But it's bullshit, because...
But the whole study, the whole concept of it, you're just giving these people a fucking trip one time. And you have somebody walking them through the process. I'd like to see the credentials of those people, because who the fuck is taking you through this process? That's a big fucking deal. Like, a shaman is a shaman for a reason, and you have to fucking do a whole fuck ton of shit to be a shaman. You can't just be a goddamn social worker. No offense to the social work profession, but I know of quite a few subpar social workers in my day. And if that's what you're using to, like, I don't want one of those people guiding me through a trip. That's a very different experience. And then there's no follow-up. You just go in, just like Western medicine. Like, here's a fucking psilocybin pill. Let's get high for a while. And then you'll be good for a couple months, and you come back for your next dose. Which then they're going to get compiling research that says that there's no long-term effects of this. So then those of us who actually practice it in a spiritual sense and do have long-term effects are made to look like we're a bunch of fucking lying assholes who just like to get high and lay in the grass in our backyards, because what we're claiming isn't true. In conclusion, we'll be moving to Chiapas.
Thank you for joining the podcast. We're done. Signing off. No, but
next time we'll be at Mexico.
Right?
So I would say for our listeners who are wondering what we're talking about, this is a study that was just recently published.
Yes. That's a good idea.
It's probably a good idea.
That a company called Comp360 did, a company who produced synthetic psilocybin. They had a test group of people who were considered severely depressed, which means that they have failed modern therapy on 2 separate occasions, and they are still severely depressed. And so then they gave them 3 different doses of this synthetic psilocybin as a one-time quote-unquote trip, and then saw what the outcomes were. Had very good initial outcomes right from the get-go for almost everybody in every group. And then over the course of like the 12 weeks had kind of died down, with the highest dose obviously having the longest lasting effects. But then after about 12 weeks, some of those effects fading out in people.
I mean, it
reporting
doesn't even
more
make sense
depressive
with the research
symptoms.
that's already been done. Like, doesn't this shit have to get approved by boards? And the boards are like, oh, look, all this research tells us that the fucking mushrooms help you regrow connections, neuronal connections, right? That's what the mushrooms do. That's their thing, mycelium. Little tiny fucking neurons all over this motherfucker, right? So if that's the plan, what we know about regenerating connections between your neurons is that it takes practice. So like we have standards of neuroscience already that these are widely accepted in any college textbook. You'll find good old, colonial science, right? That says that this is how brains learn shit. But then we're like, we'll just do this shit once.
The thing that scares me about this whole thing, because I just pulled up the article too, it's on, for our listeners, it's on CNN. It's like kind of one of the bigger ones, but everybody's talking about it. Most mainstream media, MSM, whatever articles. I hesitate to say that, but the thing that I don't understand though is that they're saying that the synthetic drug for this is derived from the natural drug. So you still need it. It's not like they're trying to grow something in a lab and pass it off as psilocybin. They're still using and extracting from the actual mushrooms. They're still extracting this drug from the mushrooms, but then they're adding stuff to it and they're changing the chemical makeup to make it something that they can
concentrate
exactly.
Right, because
the doses,
right.
the
doses are like, you know, like you do a trip, like most people, like an average trip for mushrooms is like a 3-gram
right.
trip. These are like 25 micrograms doses. Right. These are very small. So clearly it's a stronger, you're getting more bang for your buck, I guess, so to say, with a lower amount of dosage.
Right.
The old Western
of
way.
course.
Because you're still having a full-blown 6 to 8 hour trip as they were describing. So it's not microdosing.
No. Yeah, not in any way.
So,
but then when you think about it,
but what you're
go ahead.
But what I was saying to me in the car about it is then you're turning that into a Western medicine form of administration of a drug now, and you're taking away the spirituality of the plant or the medicine, whatever it's derived from. They're not all plants, some are from animals and whatnot, but so you're taking away the spiritual connection with that plant, in this sense, psilocybin, mushrooms, and you're just bypassing all of that connection and expecting still the same outcome.
Yep.
Without any of the, and I'm not saying that that's what these people were intending with it either, but I don't think you can, like in most Western clinical labs, I don't think you're really bringing in a lot of the ancient culture to it to really pull in the whole
you can't
thing.
Because this is what we talked about. This is why you have to change the way you are standardizing your studies,
which is like you can't do, I don't, you know, those studies would almost be, I think, impossible to do here
in this culture anyway. Yeah,
because
but like this is something that you should just be able to, like, you just see, even though you don't have these studies that are big, like this was the largest study they did, 200 and something people. That's not a lot of people in the grand scheme of things. That's not good enough for mainstream science to say that this is a huge group. But if you did 200 groups here, everywhere, you do all these small studies that all keep showing the same results, whether it's synthetic or from the ground, and you're proving the same thing over and over and over again. So then just teach people how to do this themselves. You can't like overdose on mushrooms. You just can't. You might get more than you expected if you just need to microdose, or you can just give yourself a full-blown trip and get some neurotransmitters back in order.
Right.
And work through some stuff. But so it's not, I don't even think, if taught how to be used properly while being able to connect to the spirit of the plant as well, it's not something that in my opinion, should be monetized at all.
Agreed.
Because if you monetize it, it's going to be one of those things that's like insanely expensive and nobody can afford, or they'll go broke trying to afford it.
And not to mention the fact that if they go through and they push this and legalize it, the natural product, mushrooms themselves, are still going to be illegal. They're still going to be criminalized on a federal level. And granted, so I know I've told Dee this, I don't know if I told all of you guys, but here in Colorado, one of the things that's on the ballot is actually allowing people to utilize clinical dosage of mushrooms, not the synthetic stuff, but like real things, working with a therapist to, work with veterans and, help heal depression and things like that. But even that idea too, when you think about that, you're still, so not in that idea, I'm a little bit more for that because they are using the natural medicine for it. However, you're still in that kind of weird sticky situation where you're using it in a Western clinical sense instead of actually creating and making a bond with the essence of the plant spirits. I mean, I talked about that on my podcast with, hape, and I know that you guys have done that, hape or, rape, but I use it on a regular basis. And for me, like, that's one of the things.
Fucking wild.
Yeah, right? It's crazy. But, for me, it's like,
I have to practice that shit. I was like, holy mother,
isn't it? Like,
fucking
but
hell.
it's great.
Like,
but that's part of the thing, though, is that you have to build a connection.
Right.
You have to create and nurture this connection that you then create with these plant spirits. And, one of the things that I find absolutely beautiful is the relationship that I've cultivated with, like, grandfather tobacco, because that is the gatekeeper of that medicine. He's the one that kind of takes you on, and he brings you in and, gives you the connection with the other spirits. But it's like, if you don't have any of that, how is your trip going to be? Because in your mind, you're still thinking from a Western perspective. You're not even incorporating any of the spiritual beliefs or spiritual aspects of it. So how does that work, right? And then not to mention all of the
Right, and you're
people
just like-
that then have bad trips
Mhm.
and are going to say, oh, this is horrible, this is bad. If you look at a lot of this plant medicine, how many cultures have been utilizing and working with these plant medicines for centuries? I mean, they've been working with them longer than most places have been in actual civilization. And you're telling me that they're wrong in what they do because it doesn't look like it's proper from the medical standpoint of the Western civilization? I don't think so. There's no way. But so I don't know. For me, it's hard to reconcile that you're going to sit here and you're going to say, yes, the synthetic version is much safer, much better for everybody. So that's what we're going to push out. But don't you dare go make, go cultivate and grow these little mushrooms in your backyard and take that, because then you're a
Right.
criminal. Like, huh? What? I don't get it.
kind of like opioids and heroin.
That's what Aaron said. Aaron's like, heroin is literally like the absolute worst fucking thing out
But
there.
that's the thing, is like all of these.
They don't care.
But all
But
of
I
the
think-
all of the things that these plants cure, though,
Yep.
are all of the things that is making
Yep.
everybody all of this
Yep.
money. It's all of these. It's addiction, mental
Yep.
health, like that's like top of the line
Yep.
right there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
if everybody out here was sane, capitalism would be gone. I said that today. I said that 8 times today.
Yep.
In rage as we drove through civilization.
Yep.
I said, what is
What
this?
is this?
and so and then it's like you can't
And I love it here. I really
monetize
do,
something
but-
that you would have to say, even worse, like you'd only have to take once every 3 months.
Yep.
You go in for your quarterly trip, you work through it, you re-regulate, you're good for 12 weeks, say.
But again-
significantly less than any of these like daily, twice daily, 3, 4, whatever medications times however
Right.
many you're on.
But again, this is the problem, and this is colonial mind set. Like, that's just how it works. Like there's nothing about like magic, at least as it relates to the earth. Let me not say that. My magic is very related to the earth, so let me speak on what I know. There is no magic from the earth that you like control as a human. I personally believe this about all magic, but again, I can only speak on what I know, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes just yet. But you can empty yourself out, and you can be a channel. You can do it with control, but your results will be bullshit as compared to if you empty yourself out and just allow what needs to happen to flow through you as a conduit.
Mhm.
And so the real healing is from these spirits. It is not even from the the guide on your trip unless that guide is also channeling things for you and like actively part of that experience for you. But the spirits are what are doing the healing. The energy is what is doing the healing. Like, I'm teaching myself not to even like set an intention as much anymore, but just to be like, here's some shit, do with it what you will. Because that's where the real power is, and it's like very human to think that you can control it in a human way. Like, it can be controlled. Like, I'm learning how to be in control of my channel.
But it's more so control of yourself, though. It's not control of what you're working
Right.
with. It's control of your own internal human
It's
vessel.
just,
and that's really all you can do. I mean, I do the same thing when I channel.
And everything that comes along with that, like all this self-care stuff we've been doing. Like, I am like, oh my God, the things that this body does, like, ugh. And my hair looks this good while it happens. You know what I mean? Like, it's just amazing every day.
Good job, buddy.
So, like, so, you know, like, so I am gonna go and let this body get a massage. I'm gonna go and see my girl Judy and let this face. I mean, my skin.
Tell them what your newest thing is that you want to look into.
Vajacials. They have facials for your vagina. And Dee's freaked out, and it is a little crazy. But why should your vagina not get love like that? You know what I mean? Like, if you're loving on your whole body.
I mean,
like,
you're not.
That's a very
wrong.
powerful part of your body.
You're not wrong.
But again, it's the right practitioner.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Especially in the realm of vajacials.
Absolutely.
So that I need a little
the
more
fact that that's a word, that's
them.
hysterical. I love that. I love it.
We're just in the car and she's just like,
I was looking at places,
we're looking at places for
facials.
facials. And then she's like, oh my God, have you ever heard of a vajacial?
Why no? No, I haven't.
I can assume what it is.
Yeah, with that name? Yeah. Exactly. Alex, you've been awfully quiet over there.
Of questions, for sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what the process was to make the synthetic version. And
tell us.
I just think it's way, like, why did they have to go down the route of making it so complicated? And I think that the along with the money's part, I think that there's an added issue where the people who want to control the substance don't trust everyday people to self-take it, or what's
self-medicate?
Self-medicate. Yeah, they don't trust normal people to just be able to control it. But I think that it goes even further to a more societal issue where if you look at our current society here in the US, there's a lot of things that we tell people they can't have, and then you have all these later on in age people who abuse those things. Whereas in other countries, they treat it a little bit differently, and you don't see, or at least personally I haven't heard of them having such issues like we do with alcoholism and things of that nature. So I think that just is another way for the government here or whoever to continue to treat us like children on another level, and also make money.
I mean,
it's always the money.
Yeah.
I mean,
look at the theory that you shouldn't trust yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't really know.
I mean, look at the opioid crisis. Like, I mean, that shit like that doesn't happen just because you had some prescribers who were overprescribed.
Which, I mean, that is part of it. It's part of it for sure. But
it's definitely
it's a whole it's a whole
driven
systemic issue, because at the end of the day, when you think about it, and so while I was in college, I did an internship with the sheriff's department in like my local area. So that summer when I was done with school or whatever, I just went and I was doing my internship over the summer. And while I was there, I did a lot of work with that department, creating Narcan procedures and also creating, like, actually physically making Narcan packs for the officers to carry in their vehicles. And then when I was doing ride-alongs, I saw so much stuff where I was like, holy what is going on right now? Like, what is this? And that was upstate New York. That's Madison County. So to like just, and it's that's not even like, you know, the thick of it. You have cities like Chicago. You have cities that are gateway cities that are just rampant with, you know, issues from the opioid crisis. And it's like, the issue is so much more so than just doctors overprescribing. It's everywhere. It goes to the highest and lowest levels of our society because they want it to. Because when you think about how much one of those little vials of Narcan costs, how much does that cost? How much does it cost every single time that somebody has to go into the emergency room because they've overdosed on, you know, something on the street? How much is that ambulance bill? How much is that hospital bill? How many different bills do you have from the hospital? Because now you have 5 or 6 different bills from that one hospital trip because everybody needs a cut of the pie. So it's like, well, who, you know, who's allowing this to happen? I mean, for me personally, I'm of the mindset that the government is trying to kill you in every possible shape and form. And it's just on a widespread issue. Because at the end of the day, if they can make you sick, dead and dying, and you're paying into their bullshit, then there you go. You're making money for them.
And afraid of death.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like, and terrified to die. Exactly.
On top of all of that, there's like, I don't know about how you guys like grew up and all that, but I never hear about crises of drug related situations until I talk to like a police officer or a firefighter or a nurse or anybody that's actually helping these people. Like the fact that this is like a topic that's hush hush, don't talk about it, it's happening, but well, I don't want to look at it is another like, okay, then it's probably pretty freaking bad if it's nobody wants to talk about it.
Oh yeah,
I feel like,
and or distancing from it. Like I see a lot of distancing from it. Like those people,
especially
and their problem,
their issue, not realizing that society itself has created this issue for these people. So instead of let's help everybody and let's figure out how to, you know, it's everybody's problem. Exactly, Alex. It's everybody's issue. So instead of it's everybody's issue, it's your issue because you are the dirty drug addict that can't handle themselves and you can't, you know, deal with blah, 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 blah. Not realizing too, I mean, when I was in insurance, I did workers' compensation for 4.5, almost 5 years. And doing that, the amount of people that I saw every single day that would be going to doctors and would be continuing to get medication after medication after medication after medication, sometimes 2-3 years after whatever issue they had. Are you kidding me? How is that allowed? How is that allowed? And it's, you know, normal everyday people that now are in a world of shit because they've been overprescribed.
Right.
Because because the system is set up where you don't have the time, you're not going to sit there. It's just easier to write the script.
Yep. And I'm definitely not blaming healthcare workers either. I mean, like, I'm definitely, you know, on the side of, you know,
it's like
and like no provider, I don't think ever goes into that career thinking like, you know,
this is how it's going to end up.
Be prescriber of the year. I'm going to go.
Of course not.
Number one on the, you know, nobody goes in with that intention, but it's
you
just
have to die inside,
right? It's slowly
you have to quit your job every 2 years.
Exactly.
It's slowly like it just gets to the point where you're just like, you don't have any other option other than just be like, okay, here you go. See you in 30 days.
Yeah. And especially too, just the way that insurance.
And it still takes a lot of effort because like in New York State, you have to literally in order to write a prescription for a narcotic in an outpatient setting, you have to see that patient every 30 days. Wow. Not like in your office every 30 days. So you can write a new script. That is illegal. I'm sure there are people who don't do that, and there's ways to get around it.
Well, with COVID,
legally, that is how it's supposed to be. So they've made it very
telemedicine.
They've made it more difficult to do it. Telemedicine, you can do that now because of COVID, like the way that it's worked. The only thing you have to see them, your initial visit, you have to see them in person, and then every year thereafter. So you can go 12 months virtually seeing them in order to prescribe them a narcotic.
And I mean, really, it's bullshit.
So I guess actually over the past few years, it's gotten even easier.
I believe that.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's some zonked people out there driving around.
Oh yeah.
But I think you just like don't fucking have time. And even time to really sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
like when we were, you know what I mean? Like when we were working, we would say like, this is fucked up, but also I have 78 patients to see and I can't fucking solve all the world's
exactly.
problems.
And the way that the insurance system is laid out, you know, you only get paid for a certain amount of, you know, hours and time, and you have to see so many patients during the day in order to get, you know, your stuff through insurance. But the other thing too, you know, if you think about the way that we train physicians in this country, it's to resolve the symptom, not the cause. I saw something earlier today too, and I've been a very firm believer of that. But, you know, again, because what pays the bills?
Oh
right?
my God! What?
Say it louder.
This is my fucking.
She
motto.
wrote this in
I'm
the
getting
car
this
like
tattooed across my chest.
She
That's
wrote
what I
this in
said.
the car like, I don't know, 5-6 hours ago today.
I am not in the business of relieving symptoms.
There you go. There you go.
There it is.
Like I can heal your
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Like my homie Raphael and I just found out this. Like
That's
I can
right.
do that.
But you're healing the cause of
it's probably
the issue.
not going to look like you
exactly.
want it to.
And you're healing the cause of the issue. You're not healing the symptoms.
And I know what the cause of the issue is, and you can take it or leave it. It is not neither here nor there to me.
Right.
But it is not probably going to be like a sexy,
but like
every 3 months psilocybin trip
right.
from a pill that doesn't even taste like a mushroom.
But
you know
that
I mean?
thing,
like, you should taste the dirt.
Right? Exactly.
Sorry.
I agree. I mean, and you should dry them, and really, you should capsule them because that's really the best way. But yeah, but like, that's the thing is like. Our not even just our healthcare system, but like society as a whole is not developed to keep anybody like well at all.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You're like
every
you're
aspect of our
like,
society.
You're going not.
I cut Lexi off because I got excited about my thing, but she was saying this thing about symptoms.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Western medicine, but Western society though too. I mean, I don't know about any of you, but until I started doing this journey, I had no idea how to regulate my system. Not a clue. No idea. They don't teach you at school. It's not something that you normally just learn all the time. Like nobody talks about this stuff, but 99.999% of the problems that everybody has guaranteed would be resolved if they had a better inward look on themselves and an ability to regulate their own system. That's why for me, I preach that so much to everybody that I meet. I mean, I had people that were at the archery range that I used to go to, and like we're having conversations and they're like, you know, man, I can't find a partner. Like, you know, I just don't know. And I'm like, okay, but what's the deal? And they're like, well, you know, I'm really just lonely and, you know, I really just want somebody. And I'm like, okay, but are you cool with yourself? And like, that's the conversation that people need to have with themselves. That's the conversation that you really need to be having with each other is like, okay, listen, like, yeah, maybe you're upset at your partner or something like that, or you're upset at your friend or a parent or a loved one or whatever, but take a second, realize where you are, and then work on yourself from there going forward. And everybody else is just a reflection of you. But at the end of the day, if it starts with that regulated system and it starts with a solid foundation, all of the problems in society would be resolved. But they're not going to tell us that because they want us feuding with each other. They want everybody going at it. They want these people saying that these people are bad and those people saying that those people are bad and all the druggies are just terrible and they're destroying the economy and all of these, you know, they want us warring with each other and they want us all to kill ourselves. That's my main goal. That's, you know, not goal, but that's my main point of this whole thing. And that's all I have to say. So there you go.
And you can't, right. And you can't monetize.
No, you can't monetize that.
Happy, well, physically, mentally, emotionally well humans who are just like, no, you know, you can't monetize off of that the way that you can off of chronically ill, angry, stressed out. Like, just like even if you just took away the fact that like everybody could control a work schedule, say for instance, right? Even if you work for corporate, but you can dictate when you want to come and go to work. You know, you have like a little bit of freedom. Like, think about like the lack, like just right there in itself. That's like one tiny little thing. That's like not just quitting your job completely, which I would recommend, but
highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
But like, think about then, like look at the chronic illness downtrend.
Yeah.
But okay,
Just from that change
what
alone.
if they could, though? What if they could monetize on just people being happy all the time? Like, why can't they flip it?
I mean,
like, what is it?
I'm sure they would find a way to.
Synthetic happy, but you know, they are making synthetic.
I mean,
happy
look at this coaching industry.
True.
Bitches be making billions off people being happy.
Exactly.
We've already figured that
Yep.
out. I'm about to human my way right up into those millions for sure, but but it's not. But that's it. This is the paradigm shift. Like, I feel like everybody is like this. There's a lot of sensationalization of things
all the time,
and I feel like this is the right. But it's the shift,
and I wanted to
is that versus working from fear, like working from joy instead of working from fear. Right?
But like back to Lexi's thing about like doing like the inner work first, like our combo experience. Nobody wants to be like, yes, burn my skin. Like,
let me just throw up for, you know,
throw some hot bay up my nose and just let that burn for
a second. It's fine.
Burn,
your eyes are watering, you're coughing, you know, it's totally sexy. What are you talking about? It's so sexy.
Burn my skin, slap a little frog venom on there, make me throw up.
Sounds great.
Mild anaphylactic.
Make me.
It's just
mild reaction. It's
make
fine.
me pass out. You know, wake back up, have a whole thing. Yeah, like people are like, yeah, sign me up for that. No, you know, like that's the thing. People don't want to do that type of work.
Of course not.
And it's not to say, and in talking about, I always feel like I need to like disclaimer, right? Put this out there. And it's not to say that there's not aspects of Western medicine that are not a good thing. I feel like I always need to put this out there because I feel like people think that, oh, you're shitting on Western medicine in a whole. No. If you need your life saved in a traumatic situation, yes, sign me up.
I also think we should qualify the statement, people don't want to do that kind of work. Because I think that's an assumption that is incorrect and rather volatile. Like, we're very mouthy people, you and I. And so we say things in hyperbole. But I don't mean, I know that you don't mean like people don't want to do that work. The societal conditioning
is society.
Like, I was just going to say, it's easier to take a pill.
Because when you're working a 9 to 5, you don't have the time to go on a Friday afternoon and have a 2.5-hour combo experience and then go home and lay on your couch for the rest of the day. Like, you just don't. And if you did, you'd have to use a vacation day.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't have that time. So what you do have time for, though, is to just throwing down the hatch every day.
Just to take the edge.
And I can't blame people because, like, why not? Sure. If it worked, shit. I'd probably be right on that train, too. But it's difficult to have those...
Why we are here is to discuss an alternative.
Experiences, though, that are very uncomfortable. Like I said to Mia now, like after this combo experience, I feel like I don't actually know if I'm more nervous now knowing what I will be experiencing versus not having ever experienced it. Because now when I do it again, I'll go into it being like, oh shit, I know exactly what's going to happen. And it was not fun the last time. And I just have a goal of not trying to die this time.
Release control, team. Release control. Like, it'll be much easier.
Right. But like, who wants to do that?
It's
like
scary.
over and over and over and over
it's
again.
Scary.
Right? No one.
Right. And even me, like I'm great at throwing up. Like I'm a master. And it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like it's still not fun. Even if you're not like afraid of it like you are, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's still unpleasant. Like nobody just
Wait, hold on. Very quickly. Very quickly. I'm curious. Did you not realize that you were going to be throwing up when you had this experience?
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, I know.
Okay.
I had read a plethora of
Okay.
research about
Okay.
this. You know what I mean? It's,
I was gonna
I
say,
don't
like,
know.
oh
I'm
my
sure.
god, you didn't research this to, you know, the nth degree before you did it?
I knew.
Okay, all right.
And I thought I was doing a great job surrendering and giving in until
you were gonna throw up.
She was unconscious.
until I had a syncopal episode, and then I woke back up.
It's fine.
But
It's fine.
it's a very common thing that can happen with it. So it's, you know, I'm just one of the many.
For sure. Lots of people resist the old purge. Not me.
Mia's like, let's go.
You were born,
Let's go.
You were born ready.
It's fine.
But
especially after I saw you, I was like, oh no. The second I was like,
yeah,
come on, hurry up.
This bitch was supposed to go first.
Oh.
I don't know why. She just picked her. She's like, you'll go first, and then Danielle will go second. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
And then that Hape, man.
That Hape got her, though.
Ass. My channel, it was like an explosion for my channel. I was like, ma'am, I'm going to lay over here for a minute. Y'all can do whatever you need to do, but I'm out.
I'm tapping out for a second. I gotta go be over here.
So she's like, all right, well, Danielle, you can go first. And I was like,
Sweet.
I guess, I mean, this was my
Sick.
idea. She would not be here right now if I didn't ask her if she wanted to do this with me.
True.
So
You'd have to do it by yourself.
it's just,
So there was a
this is my job to go first.
person watching over y'all?
Yeah, so there's a practitioner. So in order, so, I mean, I'm sure there's ways that you can do it without being certified, but there's there's different certifications out there that you can get to be a practitioner. You're not technically a shaman because that's like, you don't.
Right. I was just saying there's like a leader.
Can't earn that title, but so they're practitioners. They go through trainings and they then can administer it to other people.
Mm.
So she was the one who like administered it, and it has like a whole ritual of like,
as with
prayers,
most plant
and
medicines,
sayings and
animal medicines.
Right. And I was going into it
with the spirits, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she connected with tobacco before we did the Hape. She was, you know what I mean? She was
and like
spraying us with water and fanning us after.
Like I was expecting like maybe like max an hour-long experience, and it was like by the time we got out of there, I was like, my God, we were 2.5 hours. I was like, holy cow!
I thought it was 15 minutes.
Shit. God.
It's probably a good thing it wasn't 15 minutes.
Yeah. But it was. But yeah, it was.
But
so, yeah,
okay,
it was a whole
point.
thing.
It's a spiritual ceremony.
Right.
You could not give that to me in a fucking hospital.
I was just gonna say, so take that experience you guys just had and try and synthesize that.
Like her dog was asleep in the corner. Right.
You can't do that.
And the person guiding you. It was a practice. It's a practice for me because I realized that these plant medicines have value. I also realized that through my channel, I can get pretty fucking far out there right now as it is. But the trusting someone else to guide me through something like that is very, very hard for me. Like to relinquish control. Especially now. I think even more so now. Because, like, there's a lot going on in here. And so to have a psychedelic experience and to have someone else guiding that, like, I have to have, like, some next level trust for people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm teaching myself that that's just an innate thing. Like, I don't have to, like, I don't need 16 out, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need an interview process or whatever. Like, I'm going to know that right off the bat. But that's how this lady was. Which made you feel
like, so she would, like, call you. You would like on the phone to have a conversation about like
why you want to do
what,
it.
you know, like kind of what called you to do combo, and
like
know,
if you have any questions.
Do you have any questions? Are you looking to get anything specific out of it? You know,
what her procedure is, like how she runs it, because it's like she runs a very ceremonial administration. I mean, as it should be done.
And you can kind of you could get that vibe kind of like right off the get-go, like on the phone call. You're like, oh,
pretty easy discernment to use.
Like
when she's coming across as she was.
Yeah.
But that's huge, and this is just me. Like we're talking about using these things in treatments for people with like legitimate let me not say legitimate. I've got a healthy handful of PTSD over here with like a severe clinical level of PTSD
or depression.
The guarding that you right. The guarding that you have created, the barriers between yourself and the rest of humanity that you have created, which is why you are in this state. Ooh, that was good. God, I love when we're recording. Mark that.
Mark it.
This doesn't have to be our whole life. That's if I could just say mark it after the brilliant shit I said to you. Oh my god. I don't even know what I was saying now.
Just
what
have
was
to
I
get
saying?
a...
No, I got distracted.
I don't know.
Honestly, I was so lost in what you were saying. I have no idea.
I know. Oh, see, I hate that. That's what we do. We always laugh at ourselves, and then I lose it.
Go get it back.
What were we talking about?
Maybe that's all you had to say.
Maybe that was it. Spirit's done.
You're like, yeah, we're good.
Well, there you go.
You know, the thing too, I was
trusting.
I think we're talking about like trusting
PTSD, trusting.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So if you the reason you have this condition is because you like barricaded yourself from society, because that's what it is. It's like this lack of community and all this stuff, which is why we all have it now, because we have zero fucking actual community.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just have like somebody who you don't trust. Like, you're not going to be able to go, like, guide somebody through that shit. Like, if you don't, like, truly care enough to have, like, an energetic involvement in the situation, the plant medicine isn't even involved. And then you're not someone who is, like, energetically stable. Like, it's a feeling to know that somebody can hold your shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No matter
and
how big it is.
Like, this unspoken, that's this unspoken thing, this unspoken way that you communicate with people. That lets them know that they're safe to share their shit here because it can be held. And it's just like a feeling you have in your body. And so even if you impair someone's filter, or you expand someone's consciousness enough to have them understand all of these things, you're still going to hide shit. Like, if you're so deep into a psychological condition where it's that severe, like, that stuff is subconscious for you. Like, it's not like you're consciously blocking everybody out, you know what I mean? Like, you've been learning this shit forever. Your brain knows exactly how to keep people out. So it doesn't matter how much you expand it, your lens isn't going to be, unless you can have somebody to call you out through the shit.
And I would say even like the most practiced practitioners of, it doesn't matter what it is, they can't get through everything that you yourself is holding, or what your own consciousness doesn't want whoever else is doing the practice to know.
But that, I think, is why it's so important that in these types of practices, you have to have that grounded basis in your own shit. Because if you don't, like, and I was thinking about that as we're kind of talking, there was one of the shows on TLC or whatever that Aaron was watching the other day. I don't remember what it was, but the kid got in trouble for smoking Delta 8. Well, you guys know what Delta 8 is, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's synthetic marijuana. Yeah, so like in states where marijuana is still illegal. So like when we were traveling with my dad to Florida, we drove. So we drove through a bunch of, southern states, which is the first time I've ever done that. And I'm pretty sure in Mississippi, they had signs all over the highway. Like, get your Delta 8 here, get your Spike, get your this, get your that. And it's all synthetic marijuana.
It's like
Spice. That's what it is. Not Spike, it's Spice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like get all of this stuff. It's, whatever.
What a world.
And so that is legal in those states, but it's, marijuana is not. And the amount of times that I've actually, that's what I was going to say. The amount of times that I've seen and heard of people that take these types of substances and then get completely wrecked off of reality, like they're gone for the rest of their lives. They're gone. They're out somewhere else. And I was thinking about that as you guys were talking about your combo experience, because when you remove spirit from these types of practices, think about that. Think about how dangerous that is. Like all the work that we've all been doing to like make sure that we are fully rooted and grounded in this reality before we start going up into higher dimensions. Think about that. You're somebody that's now willingly putting your consciousness somewhere else, but you don't have any of the wherewithal to keep your shit straight. you don't have any wherewithal, you don't have anybody there to hold you during the experience, you don't have any basis in this reality before you're going and traversing somewhere else, and now you're stuck. Like the amount of, like, I heard that a lot growing up as a kid, like, oh, don't take drugs because you'll get stuck in this other dimension or whatever. But like what they don't tell you is that a lot of stuff that happens from is from these synthetic drugs. It's from those experiences where you're taking this stuff to, get a release or, whatever it is that you feel like you need, but it's usually because you're running away from something here. So if you're doing these things not in, a spiritual sense, if you're doing these in a clinical manner, if you're doing these like devoid of spirit, what's going to happen? You have the propensity to have, other beings and other entities come in and hijack your body, and then you're done. Like, goodbye. Like, that's terrifying. And then you kind of have to wonder too, like, take it even a step further. Who's pulling, the strings here on these synthetic things here within this dimension, in this reality? Because is it the Greys? Is it the Orions? Is it the Reptilians? Like, is it any of these like negative entities that we, have been talking about and researching and learning about? I don't know. Or is it just human greed? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the one is definitely. Well, I don't know who's pulling the strings. I would like to know that answer, but also we just are naive on these situations. Is like, oh well, people want to do this one thing. I know how to make money off of that. I'll just give them this one thing without realizing that they're causing another, like, a collateral damage or cause and effect of other proportions. Because a lot of the people that are probably also taking it don't realize that they themselves are probably already experiencing some sort of out there, out of body experiences that's not even like drug related. So when they go into these things, they're completely without like a compass or anything. And then, that causes other entities to attach to attach themselves to you.
Oh yeah, now you've got a bigger problem than what you started.
And even
with.
like, right, because like people that like everybody you talk to who works with plant medicine and any of the spirits that go along with it is like, you have to have your intention set.
You have to be very clear. Very clear.
It's going to make it go whatever direction, it thinks you need. So you better like buckle up, settle in, like say,
I don't know, but I'm gonna do some research on that one for you.